Hello everyone, welcome to Slipjoint Sawyer. Today we'll be taking a look at a Victorinox knife, and this is one that is still available now, but this particular variant of it isn't. And this is the economy line weighter. So it's an 84mm design. So you can see that is right about the 3.25 inches thereabouts closed. Unfortunately, I don't have the packaging for this. It was picked up on the secondary market, so it is used. It's not a brand new knife. I did pick this up from my good friend Dan over at Blade Bridge Customs. He does sell some things on his Instagram page every so often, but I would definitely check out his website, Blade Bridge Customs. I will link it in the description below. He always has some great custom bits on there. He does pick up some older bits like this you can find, and he always does them at such a reasonable price. None of this markup stuff that you might find on eBay or Etsy. Honestly, they're so reasonable. I think I picked this one up for, I want to say, between 15 and 20 pounds. I've had it for quite a while, just not got around to it. And I mean, these go on eBay are like upwards of about 50, and on Etsy they're even more again. So go check out Dan. He does a great job. He restores them, sharpens them, and does a fantastic work on them. The blades are always screaming sharp. But anyway, we'll jump right into it and take a look at the review. So as it's the economy, there's a few things that aren't sort of included as you would get with the standard weighter. But you can see we do have the old style Victorinox shield on here. And this particular series is only sort of available between 77 and 81, I believe. That's all I could find sort of on SAC Wiki. So it's a very sort of limited series they offered this for. So, but it does have the old style shield, and that is sort of stamped in there. You can kind of see where they've stamped it. Bit of it's worn off, but not pretty much what you'd expect for the age of the knife. You can see as well we don't have any keyring or anything on the outside, so it's a very nice, comfortable carry in the hand. No scale tools on this either. Part of the economy line is they were removed, so it's just like a bare bones back to basics model really. So it does have that nice sort of clean, flush look to it, and I actually really do like the look without the scale tools on there. It's a one layer. You can see we've got two tools in there. And on the back, we just have the one, being the weighter. It's the corkscrew, aimed at sort of that guy who works in a restaurant, maybe in a kitchen, definitely aimed at a waiter for sure. Corkscrew to open bottles, and there is actually a cap lifter in there as well. Still needs a little bit of a clean out, so mind that. But great action on this corkscrew as well. Was cleaned out wonderfully by Dan. That dirt there is just where it's been in storage for me, and I've used it a few times. But we do have on the front, we have the main blade, and you can see we have the old style tang stamp, which is Victorinox, Switzerland, stainless, and then rust free at the bottom. And what does this make this unique and sort of prove it to be part of the economy line? If you turn it over, you have economy stamped on the back there, which is what you can sort of date it to. And the only one I could find the tang stamp for that had economy like this and those four lines was 77 to 81. So that pretty much solidifies it to be that sort of age range for me. Nice little blade on this. It is a full length tip to tang of right at 2.5 inches. And then we've got a cutting edge of 1 to 2.1, may have been 2.2. You can see this has been used and resharpened. Dan has put a wonderful edge on there. It's really, really sharp, like stupid sharp. He does a fantastic job. But you can see someone has carried and used this. There is all scratch marks on the blade. And for me, there's nothing better than that. If I'm buying an older knife and I can see that someone has pre-loved it, used it, would I like to get a new old stock? Yeah, of course I would, but there's nothing wrong with having one that's been pre-loved. You can see you've got a little bit of rub there from the secondary tool, but nothing to worry about. Nice clean nail nick on there as well. No swedging, just a nice working blade that Victorinox do so well. Action on this is what you'd expect really. Got about a 5 pull to here, then into about a 6.5 to a 7, and the lockup is very secure. I'd have no problems carrying this and doing my work through the day. And with it being a one layer with no sort of keyring tab, it does make it very comfortable in the hand as well. On to the sort of secondary tool then. It is a combi tool. Normally this would normally have sort of like a half stop on it, but being an older model, that was before all that was introduced. So you can see it is the older style combi tool. So you've got the wire bender there, the cap lifter, as well as the can opener, which it can be used for. And we have the combination there of the number 2 Phillips plus the flathead on the edge here. Probably wouldn't be too keen to use this as a pry tool unless it was something very light, because you can see there's not much steel here to sort of You know, I'd be concerned that might bend or even snap, but I'd be happy to use it as something very minor to pry with, maybe a little bit of plastic, things like that. But excellent action on this, really nice snap on the close and nice lock up on the open as well. I do love the finish they do on these blades, and they do a fantastic job, Victorinox, with their quality control. Even one that's this old, it's still absolutely superb. There's no gaps, everything fits as it should. The action on everything, after it's being so old as well, is still perfect. Centering's pretty good. It's been pressed over a bit, but what really you expect when they're fitting two tools in such a tight little gap. Action on everything is just perfect. I'm just really happy with this and glad I managed to pick it up. Just a wonderful piece, and I'm really sort of enjoying picking up the older style knives at the moment. Got a couple more older Victorinox on the way to show you guys, a couple more older different sorts of knives. Really on that sort of vintage knife kick right now. But scales still fit perfectly. I know sometimes people take them on and off and they get a bit loose, but these don't seem to have been done that with at all. A little bit of rub there, you can see where it was rubbing on the blade, but nothing to worry about. Just overall, I think I might prefer the Waiter to the Bantam just because you get that corkscrew. And I know a lot of people aren't opening bottles with a cork anymore, but really I use these to undo knots. Maybe if you tie your shoelaces too tight, or if you've got trousers that have a pull string or a drawstring in the middle, this is really great to get in between the knot and open them up. Especially if someone like me and you've got quite short nails, it can be quite difficult. But a really fantastic piece from Victorinox. I was really glad to pick this one up, especially with it being so old. Just having a look at that tang stamp. I really wish they would go back to this sort of 4-line tang stamp. I think it really fits the tang well and just looks really classy as well, and they tell you the steel on there too. 50-50 with the old style shield. I think I do prefer the newer one, but definitely a classy look with this old style. We'll give this a bit more of a polish up in the future, being careful obviously of this to try and get some of these minor scratches and blemishes out, and maybe I'll show you guys a progression of how that went. But there we go, that's my review of the Victorinox Waiter, part of the economy line. Really hope you enjoyed this. Please be sure to check out Dan over at Bladebridge Customs. Also please be sure to like, subscribe and ring that bell for notifications, and I'll catch you in the next one. Peace out.